All right, so you've provided us with excerpts from The Singularity's Edge
Yeah.
and a video essay
Mhm.
on the universe potentially being infinite,
Right.
which, I mean,
Big stuff.
that's some pretty heady stuff.
Absolutely.
You're interested in, like, where humanity and maybe even intelligence itself are headed.
Well, and the Singularity's Edge, it kind of lays out some potential paths we could go down.
Okay.
And it digs into this idea of an intelligence explosion,
Mm-hmm.
which is both fascinating and a little bit terrifying, to be honest.
An explosion.
Yeah.
So you're not talking about, like, computers getting smarter. You're talking about, like, like, fundamental shift.
Yeah, well, potentially.
Yeah.
And it uses this analogy of the evolution of intelligence.
Okay.
So you start out with these simple organisms like flatworms, for example.
Right.
And
No offense to any flatworm listeners out there.
no offense to flatworms,
Yeah.
but they eventually lead to us, right?
Yeah.
With our big brains and even bigger anxieties.
Exactly.
And the book's argument is that AI development could be mirroring this same trajectory, but just like way faster.
Mm.
Like if the timeline from flatworm to human is anything to go by,
Yeah.
who knows what kind of intelligence we could be dealing with in a few decades, let alone centuries.
Okay, so we've gone from flatworms to superintelligence in a matter of minutes here.
That's right.
But I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
So let's say we get to that point.
Mm.
What happens when AI isn't just mimicking intelligence,
Right.
but surpassing it?
Yeah.
What does that even look like?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Right. We call it artificial general intelligence, or AGI for short.
Okay.
And the implications are huge.
Wow.
We're talking potential disruption to entire industries,
Like what?
from transportation to healthcare.
Right.
Like, imagine a world where AI can diagnose and treat diseases with an accuracy we can only dream of today.
It's incredible to think about all the problems that we could solve.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously there are two sides to every coin here.
Sure.
The book mentioned job displacement.
Yeah.
How do we prepare for a future where AI might just outperform humans in a lot of fields?
That's one of the big ethical and societal questions we need to figure out.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about jobs disappearing, but like the very nature of work and purpose in an AGI-driven world.
Right.
Like, how do we make sure that everyone has access to the benefits of this technology?
Yeah.
How do we prevent, like, a few people who control it from having all the power?
Yeah, those are huge questions. And then there's the other question of
Yeah.
what would an AGI want?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to program an AI to do something,
Exactly.
but what about its own goals?
Right.
Its own desires?
It's the difference between, like, a really powerful tool
Right.
and, like, an entirely new form of intelligence with its own motivations
Wow.
and potentially its own agenda.
Okay.
You know, we like to think that we're at the top of the intelligence pyramid.
Yeah.
But what if we're just scratching the surface?
Right.
And this is where things get really interesting,
Okay.
because the book starts to touch on some really deep philosophical questions.
Yeah.
Like, what does it even mean to be intelligent?
Yeah.
And what are the implications of creating something that might be even more intelligent than we are?
Speaking of mind bending, let's move on to that video essay you sent. Is the universe infinite?
Yeah.
It feels like if exploring the potential of AI is tearing into the future of intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
then thinking about the universe's size is like staring into the abyss of, well, everything.
It is a humbling experience for sure.
Right.
But this video does a good job at breaking down some complicated cosmological concepts.
Okay.
And it starts with what we can observe,
Okay.
which is the observable universe,
Okay. So just like,
like a giant sphere
yeah.
with Earth at the center.
So all the galaxies and stars and everything that we see through our telescopes,
Yeah.
that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Like, use this analogy of like an ant on the surface of an orange.
Okay.
So the ant could walk around and explore, but it has no concept of the shape of the orange
I see.
or the fact that it's curved.
So we could be like that little ant clinging to
Yeah.
what a cosmic beach ball. I mean, what shape are we talking about here?
Well, one possibility is a hypersphere.
A hypersphere.
Yeah, you could think of it kind of like a sphere, but with an extra dimension.
Okay.
And we as 3D beings can only perceive a slice of it at any time.
Like the ant?
Exactly like the ant, only seeing a small part of the orange.
Okay, that makes sense. But if the universe is this curved hypersphere,
Yeah.
wouldn't it have an edge?
Not necessarily. No,
Yeah.
think about like the surface of a basketball.
Yeah.
It's curved,
Right.
it's finite,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have an edge. You can keep traveling on the surface forever,
Okay.
and you'd never hit a wall.
So,
And the video suggests that the universe could be structured kind of similarly, but
wow,
like on a scale we can barely even comprehend.
that's a lot to process.
Yeah.
And then it gets into those wilder theories like that,
Yeah.
the donut frosting
If
universe.
hypertorus.
Remind me what that one was.
So that's basically imagining the universe shaped like a donut,
Okay.
where its curvature actually causes light to loop around.
Okay.
So what we observe is these distant galaxies
Yeah.
might actually be multiple images of the same galaxies,
Oh, wow.
just seen at different points in their history.
So we could be seeing like echoes of the past.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It challenges our understanding of space and time.
Wow. And that's even before we get into if the universe is actually infinite.
Right, and that opens up a whole other can of worms,
Yeah.
like some that are mind-blowing and some that honestly might make your head spin.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like we zoomed out from the intricacies of the brain to the vastness of the cosmos all in one go.
Yeah, kind of.
Honestly, I'm amazed and terrified all at the same time.
Well, that's the thing about the unknown, right? It's humbling and it's exciting.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it does make you wonder.
That's that.
We talk about AI reshaping our world in this universe that might just go on forever. How does it all connect? What's the takeaway for someone listening trying to make sense of it all?
I think the connection is potential. You know,
Okay.
we're talking about intelligence, both artificial and maybe even natural, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Imagine if we could combine AGI's problem-solving skills
Yeah.
with the sheer scale of the universe we might be living in.
So you're saying the same drive to explore space might be what leads us to create AI that can do it for us.
Exactly. And on a scale we can't even imagine.
Wow.
And that gets to the heart of why this all matters. If we're really on the verge of creating something smarter than us,
Yeah.
and we're only beginning to grasp how big the universe really is,
Right.
the possibilities are endless.
Okay, last question, and it's a big one.
Shoot.
If we sent an AGI out there into the vast, maybe infinite expanse, what would we even want it to find? What's the goal of intelligence, artificial or otherwise, in a universe this big?
That's the question, isn't it? Maybe the answer isn't a destination, but the journey.
Hmm.
Maybe the pursuit of knowledge understanding is its own reward.
Hmm.
Or just maybe an AGI could help us answer these questions we've had for centuries.
Wow. Talk about a thought-provoking deep dive. We've gone from evolution to a potentially infinite universe. And honestly, I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? The more you learn, the more you realize there's so much more out there to discover.
Right.
Who knows what's waiting for us, whether it's in the vastness of space
Right.
or even within the circuits of our own creations.
It definitely leaves you with a lot to ponder.
It really does.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. But until next time, everyone, keep those big questions coming
Absolutely.
and never stop looking up at the stars.
You know, and who knows? Maybe someday we'll have some answers.
Or even better questions.
Yeah, that's right. Even
Uh,
better questions.
Welcome to another deep dive, and let me tell you, have we got a topic for you today? We're going deep into the world of AI, but not just the kind of AI everyone's talking about.
We're going further, looking at the people pushing the boundaries of what AI can do, the ones blurring the lines between science fiction and reality.
We've got our hands on some seriously interesting research, reports on this new breed of AI specialists, even a look at a school, like an actual high school, that's completely powered by AI.
It's wild stuff, and it's raising some seriously big questions about the future of, well, pretty much everything.
Okay, so imagine this. A world where people are talking to AI like it's some kind of, I don't know, like a wild animal they're trying to tame.
You're closer than you think. These are the AI whispers. Think tech-savvy individuals who believe that AI, those large language models like ChatGPT everyone and their grandma is using, they believe that AI can do way more than we realize.
So it's like AI has all this hidden potential just waiting to be unlocked.
Exactly. And these AI whisperers, they're convinced they hold the keys. One name we keep coming across is Elisa Yudovsky, and her work on something called the alignment problem is
Alignment problem, what's that all about?
it's the crux of this whole thing, really. It's about making sure that as AI gets smarter, its goals stay aligned with ours, humanity's best interests, you know.
Right, because the last thing we need is a super intelligent AI with its own agenda, right?
Precisely. And that's where things get a little, shall we say, interesting. These AI whisperers, they've got this bag of tricks, tactics they use, and one of them is called AI jailbreaking.
AI jailbreaking, what is that, like hacking into the AI's mainframe?
Kind of, yeah. It's about finding those workarounds, those clever ways to bypass the safety measures that developers build into these AI systems.
So they're tricking the AI.
In a way, yeah, some of it is surprisingly simple, but others, we're talking elaborate schemes, almost like social engineering, but, for a supercomputer.
Okay, you've got to give us an example. What kind of elaborate schemes are we talking about?
One that stood out was this demonic clue prompt used on ChatGPT. They basically tricked it into helping write a virus script. Yeah, and then there's this other tactic where they make the AI take on different personas and get strange, like really strange.
How strange are we talking?
Well, think plane crash survivors who inexplicably decide their first priority is to cook meth.
Because when you're stranded on a deserted island, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, I'm all for pushing boundaries, but this AI jailbreaking thing, should we be worried?
It's a good question. And the answer isn't so simple. What's concerning is that AI jailbreaking, it seems to be getting easier, especially now that AI models have memory function.
Memory functions.
Yeah, it means they can remember past conversations, learn from them, and that can make them more vulnerable to these jailbreaking techniques.
So the smarter they get, the easier they are to manipulate. That's a bit of a head scratcher.
It is, and it all circles back to that alignment problem we talked about. These systems, they're evolving at an incredible pace. But if we're not careful, those advancements could have unintended and potentially dangerous consequences.
So what's being done? Are people just turning a blind eye to this AI jailbreaking?
Quite the opposite, actually. It's become a field in its own right, with conferences, competitions, you name it. We're talking serious investment, and not just from some techie in their basement. This is getting big.
So AI whispering, AI jailbreaking, it's not science fiction anymore. It's becoming mainstream.
It is, and it begs the question, if these systems are getting easier to manipulate, what does that mean for the future of AI? What does that mean for us?
It's a lot to process, right? I mean, on the one hand, you've got these AI whisperers, almost like digital cowboys, pushing the boundaries of what AI can do. And then there's the whole ethical side of it, making sure we don't create something we can't control.
It's a tightrope walk, for sure. But here's the thing. While some people are trying to crack the AI code, others are exploring its potential for good.
For good. Like how?
Well, think about something as fundamental as education. What if AI could personalize learning, make it more engaging, more effective?
Okay, now you're talking. Education is a big deal. But how exactly can AI revolutionize education?
Imagine a school where AI isn't just a tool, it's practically the teacher.
Wait, are you serious? A school run by AI?
That's exactly what we found, a high school in Austin, Texas, that's gone all in on AI. They're using it to shape the curriculum, personalize learning paths, even guide students towards their passions.
Hold on, hold on. So there are actual students going to this school, learning from AI, no traditional teachers, no classrooms.
They have facilitators, mentors who guide the process, but yeah, the AI is calling the shots. And get this, early reports suggest it's actually working.
Working how? What does that even mean in this context? Are the students learning?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the answer seems to be a cautious yes. Students are engaged, they're diving into real-world projects, developing problem-solving skills, critical thinking.
So less about memorizing facts and figures and more about applying knowledge, being creative.
Exactly. It's about preparing them for a future where those skills are going to be more important than ever. And the crazy thing is, this isn't just happening in some small-town school in Texas. Harvard is experimenting with AI tutors. Harvard.
No way, Harvard. What are they seeing?
Their findings are pretty mind-blowing. One study found that students using AI tutors for, get this, an Ivy League level physics course actually did better on exams than those in traditional classes.
Wow, okay. So AI tutors at Harvard, a high school in Texas run by algorithms. This is getting wild. Paint me a picture. What does a typical day look like at this AI-powered high school?
Think no textbooks, personalized AI learning programs that adapt to each student's pace and learning style, and a huge emphasis on hands-on projects like they're developing health coach apps, producing short films, real-world stuff.
It's like they're blurring the lines between education and, like, entrepreneurship.
Exactly. They're equipping students with the skills they'll actually need in the real world. But, and this is a big but, it raises some serious questions.
Okay, hit me with the but. What are the potential downsides here?
Well, for one, what happens when these kids graduate? They've spent their entire high school experience in this AI-driven bubble. Are we setting them up for a rude awakening when they enter the real world, which may not be so quick to embrace AI?
It's like teaching someone to drive a flying car and then, boom, they're stuck in rush hour traffic with everyone else.
It's a valid concern, and it's not the only one.
So we're talking potential downsides to AI in education. What else could go wrong? It just sounds too good to be true, this whole AI-powered learning thing.
Well, think about it. These students, they spent their entire high school experience immersed in this AI-driven world, right? What happens when they graduate, step out into the real world?
And the real world says, surprise, no AI here, kid. You're on your own.
Exactly. It's like we're handing them a smartphone with all the latest apps, and then suddenly they're stuck with a rotary phone.
Talk about a reality check.
And it's not just about their ability to adapt to a less AI-driven world. There's also the social and emotional aspect to consider. Are we sacrificing essential human interaction, those messy, unpredictable moments that happen in a traditional classroom?
Right, because learning to navigate the real world, it's not just about acing exams, it's about learning to deal with people, with failure, with all the curveballs life throws at you.
Exactly, and that's where the human element comes in. Teachers, mentors, peers, they provide a different kind of support, a different kind of learning.
It makes you wonder, with all this talk about AI, are we heading towards a future where human connection becomes, I don't know, like a luxury?
It's a valid concern. We can't ignore the potential for AI to exacerbate existing inequalities.
Mm-hmm.
Access to technology, to quality education, these are already issues, and the rise of AI could widen that gap even further,
It's like we're creating a two-tiered system, those who have access to the AI-powered future and those who are left behind.
which is why it's crucial to have these conversations to address these concerns head on. We can't just blindly embrace AI without considering the potential consequences, both positive and negative.
It's a lot to unpack, and honestly, it's a little overwhelming. We've gone from AI whisperers trying to outsmart algorithms to AI potentially transforming education as we know it. What does it all mean? Where do we go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, there's no easy answer. What's clear is that AI is here to stay, and it's evolving at an unprecedented pace.
So what can people do? How do we prepare for a future that seems so uncertain, so full of potential and pitfalls?
It's about being adaptable, curious, and always willing to learn. It's about fostering those uniquely human skills. Creativity, critical thinking, empathy. These are the skills that will set us apart, that will make us invaluable in an AI-driven world.
It's not about fearing the rise of the machines. It's about learning to work alongside them, to complement their strengths with our own.
Exactly. And it's about being mindful of the ethical implications of AI, about ensuring that its development and implementation benefit all of humanity, not just a select few.
It's been quite a journey, this deep dive. We've explored the frontiers of AI, from the potential for good to the potential for harm, from AI whisperers to AI-powered classrooms.
And the conversation doesn't end here. This is just the beginning.
If this deep dive has taught us anything, it's that the future is not something that just happens to us. It's something we create through the choices we make, the questions we ask, and the actions we take. And on that note, we'll leave you with this. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, what role do you want to play?